Hey everybody, this week's session of Facebook Live here with Pet Emergency Education is going to be some safe tips for protecting your pets in hot weather, the summer months. Now, no matter where we live in the world, whether it be the country or America or another country, there are certain types of hazards that can be potentially life-threatening to dogs and cats. And here I am in our state. We live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's the desert. And so no one knows more than we do what to do in the hot weather to protect our pets. So I'm going to go through some tips today. I think I have about 8 tips that I recommend no matter where you live, things to be conscious of when you have your animals out and about in the warm weather, or even just in your yard or in your home. All right, so some of these might be kind of, well, Amy, that's kind of common sense. You'd be surprised how many times veterinary professionals have to deal with cases that come into their hospital of heat stroke and significant burns from asphalt burns and things like that. You'd think people would know better, and unfortunately, just some people don't realize that some of these things can be harmful or hazardous or painful or can cause significant injury. So you can see I'm in my backyard. Unfortunately, I thought that today would be let's go, great day. You live in Las Vegas, the sun's out all the time. But one day I decide to do an outside live. The sun goes in. Well, that's okay, because at least makes it a little more comfortable here, where normally in July it's in triple digits heat. So anyway, let's talk about the number one piece of information tip that I can give you. Always have plenty of water on you and also available for your pets. If you are taking your dog hiking, walking, biking, anywhere that you're taking them away from your home, you need to make sure you have enough bottled water for you as well as your dog. And of course, if you take your cat and you take them on vacation or camping, you need to certainly have enough for them as well. Some nice, clean bottled water, one for you, one for your dog. Whenever you stop to drink, make sure you offer water to your dog as well. In the home, always make sure that their bowls are full of clean water. Now, here's an important tip when it comes to stagnant water, or water in bowls. Just because your dog's bowl is full of water doesn't mean that it's actually safe for them to drink. You should be giving them fresh water once or twice a day. Even if there's water left in their bowl, rinse the bowl out, clean it like you would clean your own dishes, fill it with fresh water. Stagnant water, especially once dogs and cats have started to drink from the bowl, they have saliva and bacteria in their saliva in their mouths, and when they drink out of the bowl, they get that saliva bacteria in the bowl, and it clings to the edges of the bowl and it replicates, and then you have this bowl full of this oral bacteria that can be then potentially can cause different types of infections and stomach upset, and potentially could be a big problem. So you want to make sure that you have clean water for your pets all the time in their bowls, whether inside or outside, wherever they're going to be. Of course, even if you have a fenced-in yard, I highly recommend not leaving your dogs loose in the yard. And if you are leaving them out there for any period of time, make sure that they have fresh water available for them. And when you're walking and hiking, even if you're doing a short walk around the park or around your block, bring a bottled water with you. As we talked about last week when we went through the first aid kit, I talked about the collapsible bowl. This is great for you to be able to hook on your belt, on your purse, on your backpack, on your dog's leash. That's where we actually have Cooties. This is my dog's bowl, and this actually hangs on his leash. And so it's lightweight, easy to carry around, and then it pops open, fill it with water, and then as often as we stop to drink something on our walks, we offer water to him as well. Even if they don't take it, offer it to them so they're at least having access to cool water and clean water. So plenty of water at all times. And again, wash your pet's bowls. Don't leave water in them for days. Even if they don't drink it all, dump it out, clean it, and then give them fresh water again. All right, so do them upside down here. Here's an interesting one. A lot of people don't realize that dogs and cats can wear sunscreen, and in often many cases they should. If your pet has white fur or pink pigmented skin or thin skinned, especially if they don't have a coat that sheds, a lot of veterinarians will highly recommend sunscreen. Now, what kind of sunscreen, you ask, is safe for dogs and cats? Well, any sunscreen that does not have zinc in it. Zinc oxide is very toxic to animals, and so make sure you look on the ingredients to see if it has zinc in it. If it does, don't use it. Most sunscreens that are made for children, human babies and children, will not have toxic properties in it, and it will be safe for your dog and cat to use. Be very, very careful when you apply the sunscreen around their face. Don't get it in their mouth, don't get it in their eyes, don't get it in their nose. Be very, very careful as you work it into the skin down to the undercoat. If you look on some of the PetMed articles, they say that anything above 15 SPF is good to use, and so that they have enough SPF in it. This particular one is on 100. We live in the desert. This is what we use on ourselves, because if we don't use SPF 100, we look like lobsters. So we always carry SPF 100 around. We have one in the car, there's one in my purse, there's one in the backpack, there's one everywhere, because you can't be too safe. And dogs and cats can get skin cancer, a very somewhat similar type of skin cancer that people get. But you want to protect them as well. So make sure you put on sunscreen. You're going to be out in the direct sun on yourself as well as your pets. Do not use sunscreen with zinc in it, and don't apply it around any parts of their face where it could burn. You could get the chemicals in their eyes, nose, mouth, that kind of thing. All right, so that's the message about sunscreen. Do not walk your pet on hot surfaces. I don't even know how many times I preach this constantly, but people still do it. I see it posted on the internet all the time. Articles where people are got their dog's pad, and it's this awful, has these awful third-degree burns because they walked them on asphalt. I mean, people, come on, use common sense. Would you walk barefoot on asphalt? Even beach sand. How many times I can remember when I was a kid wearing my sandals to the beach, and my mom, we would take our sandals off and then walk through the sand to get to the towel, and it would be boiling hot. That's the same for pets. I mean, if the beach sand is too hot for you to walk on, it's too hot for them. A good way to test if a surface is going to be safe enough or not hot enough for your pet is take the backside of your hand and put it down on the pavement. This is my interpretation of pavement. You put the back of your palm. If it's too hot for you to leave your hand there for a few seconds, it is too hot for your pet to stand or walk on it. Here, when we obviously we have a lot of heat and sunny weather and 3-digit temperatures outside in the 100s, we tend to not walk our dogs during the day, period. Early in the morning, later in the day at night, actually late in the day at dusk while the sun's going down, we have the beautiful sunsets over the mountains over here. That's when we tend to walk our dog. That's the safest part of the day, where the pavement is not hot, the rocks are not hot, the sand is not hot on the paths or anything like that. First, early in the morning, we know a lot of hikers that go out first thing in the morning into Red Rock Canyon, and also back in Colorado, a lot of our hiking friends will go out first thing in the morning. It's really interesting because you'd think that when the sun goes down, that's when the desert would be the coolest, but during the summer it's not actually. It's first thing in the morning. So if you come outside at 5:30 a.m., it's beautiful in the 70s. Fortunately, we're not morning people, so no hiking is happening in this household in the morning. But it is a great time of day. So early in the morning and at night when the sun goes down, even though the air is somewhat warm, there's plenty of cool air, or cool pavement, I should say, cool surfaces to walk on. So again, you can cause significant burns for your pets if you walk them on hot surfaces. Always check their pads. When you come in for a walk, you can usually tell if there's any soreness or tenderness. You might need to take them to the vet if they've have any injury to their pads from the outside. But again, use the little test here. Back of your palm or back of your hand on with palm facing up on the pavement, and if it's comfortable for you, it probably will be comfortable for them. If it's too hot for you, it is too hot for them. All right. The other thing that I should mention, and I don't really endorse products per se. I mean, there's a lot of different products out there, some good, some bad. Everybody has different opinions, and I don't want to get into like controversial of, what products are best and that kind of thing. But they do make booties that you can, a lot of people here in Vegas use them, and I know people in Colorado that use them too, is they're basically like neoprene booties that slip on the dog's feet, and they have like a little Velcro, and they can walk with them. They have like a rubber, basically like a sneaker for dogs. But you have to train your dog to accept them. Like my dog, he's like, no way, I can't even, he puts them on and then nothing's fling across the room. So you have to have a dog that is readily accepts the booties and you can use them. But definitely give it a try. They're not very expensive. And if you're an avid hiker, I would highly recommend them. Not only do they protect against hot surfaces, but they also protect against like cuts and scrapes and lacerations from things that they walk on, maybe sharp rocks, things like that. So the booties are a good option. There's also a type of wax that you can actually, kind of like a lotion, but it's like wax. It's like stickier, more durable. It doesn't wear off very quickly. And you can rub that on your dog's paws, and it kind of makes like a coating, a protective coating. It's not as, like I said, durable as like booties would be, but it does a pretty good job, protecting them in a number of instances, especially if they can't wear booties. All right, so not on hot surfaces. Here's one that might not pertain to everybody out there, but in a number of areas of the country, parasites are a big issue, and this more of an issue in the summertime than any other time of year. Parasites such as fleas, ticks, intestinal worms, many of the species of those types of parasites are more active in the summer months or when it's warm. For the most part here we have scorpions and rattlesnakes and things that are more, active in the summertime, but they're not really a parasite per se. A parasite is something that lives off of your animal. It, attaches to their skin and sucks their blood. They swallow it, and, the worms attach to their intestines. Like there's a variety of different things and ways that they live off of your pets. Some of them drink their blood. Some of them, live off of the food that your animal ingests. And many of them also can pass on diseases, especially ticks. They have a lot of different diseases that they can, pass on because they do suck the animal's blood and they attach in their skin. And they're also zoonotic, so ticks can bite people and pass those diseases onto people as well. Mosquitoes, some people wouldn't classify mosquitoes as a parasite. I would, because they are living off a host, i.e. you or your pet, so that would be an option too. What's the point, Amy? Here's the point, is that if you live in an area where parasites are prevalent, then it would be good to use some type of anti-parasitic protection on your pets, whether, and definitely talk to your veterinarian. They would be the best ones to be able to refer you or recommend to you any different types of products, whether it be a flea and tick control product or some type of internal medication that your pet could use. They may want to check a stool sample to see if your pet has anything internally. And all those are really good safety measures. Just keep in mind that in the summer months there can be a stronger incidence of parasite infections for pets. Here's my next one. Life vest around the water. If you're a boater, camper, your dog goes swimming, you're around any type of bodies of water, particularly if you're in any type of ocean areas where you have that strong currents, or rivers like in Colorado, and we had a lot of the rivers that had a really strong current as well. Any of these areas, you may want to consider having a life vest for your pet. We have a life vest for our little dog because he's super crazy brave when it comes to water. He loves water, loves it. But I mean, he'll just dive right in, and it doesn't faze him like how deep it is or how strong the current is, and it'll wash him away. And he loves chasing the tide when the waves come in and chasing him in and out. So they make great, there's a lot of different companies out there that make great life vests for dogs and cats actually too. I actually know someone that we met on the road who had a boat. They were avid boaters, they had a boat, and they had a cat, and their cat walked along the edge of the boat, and they always put her life preserver, a little life vest on her before she was able to go out and walk around on the edge of the boat. So great idea for animals that are out on the water. Can really be a great way to protect your animal from drowning or from any other type of serious water related injury. So life vests, it's a good option to think about. And also, don't assume, I always tell this in my classes too, don't assume that all dogs know how to swim. It is not necessarily a natural instinct for them. I've seen a number of times in the clinics that I've worked at, animals that have been brought in because they had a drowning situation, because they just assumed the dog could swim, throw him in the water. He was running and jumping into the lake, and then all of a sudden he didn't come back up. So dogs are not necessarily natural swimmers, so be very careful and be cautious around water. It's a great activity for dogs. They love it. My dog loves it. We always try to bring him around the water when we can, but just keep in mind that it is something you need to be a little more observant when they're near the water. May not realize this one. If you have a double-coated dog, or a dog that blows their coat either seasonally, dogs like German Shepherds, Huskies, veterinarians highly recommend that you do not shave those breeds of dogs. And I know that seems like it's contradictory. You're thinking, well, the dog has all this thick fur, I want to take it off of them. That fur actually acts like an insulator, an air-conditioned insulator for them in the summer. It also protects their skin from the sun and from their skin can be much more sensitive if they've been shaven. I've spoken to very reputable breeders of these types of breeds that say, in general, the rule of thumb is don't shave your dogs in the summertime. They're going to be perfectly comfortable. That's how Mother Nature designed them, and so you don't want to take that away from them. And so there are some breeds of dogs that if they don't have that double coat, or they don't have they're not a shedding breed. I mean, a lot of the articles you read, if you Google this, will say if it's a shedding breed, then don't shave them, because their coat's designed to protect them in this type of weather, and then others can. So again, can be, depending on who you talk to varying opinions, but I'm just going by what veterinary literature has dictated and suggested, is not to shaving those particular breeds of dogs or cats. This one kills me. And every day I see this on social media. I see articles that point to this, and people still doing this, news clips where people are leaving their dogs in cars. I mean, this should be obvious, people, right? You shouldn't be leaving your dog in the car in the summertime. And there are laws all across the country as far as animal abuse regulations, and whether or not animals, you can or you can't, or, I see these pictures on social media being shared of people that say, the air conditioning's on. They put the little sign in the window that says like, my dog's listening to the Rolling Stones and he has the air conditioner on, leave us alone, kind of thing. And the dog's alone in the locked car with the owner not around. So here's the thing on this. I actually saw a story the other day, a news clip actually, that the person had done that, had left the AC running, left the car running, ran into the grocery store, and put the stupid sign in the window that said, my mom's grocery shopping, I have the air conditioner on, I have a bowl of water, I'm gonna be fine. The car had stalled out. It overheated and stalled out, and it was a pretty newish car. It's not like it was an old beater. It was a car that definitely, you wouldn't think would have stalled or would break down, but it did. It broke down. Dog died. The person came out, and the temperature inside the car was 158 degrees, and dog was gone. Nothing they could do. So, again, you don't do that. Don't leave him in the car even with the air conditioner on. You could be that statistic where that doesn't work. Also, there are a number of states, I think there's 16, don't quote me on that, but I think there's 16 states that have regulations or laws on the books about not leaving dogs in cars or being charged with animal cruelty if you leave your dog in the car. There's also people, in my classes will say, well, if I ever saw a dog in the car, I'd just smash the window. We have to be careful with that too, because that's actually destruction of private property and can also be considered car theft. So I've talked to police officers and law enforcement who have said that the recommendation is that you call 911 or you call animal control if you see a dog left alone in a car, that kind of thing. Even if the car's running, call law enforcement, and they will come and then can break the dog out of the car, because there's a different legal liability and insurance liability and all that other stuff if law enforcement does it as opposed to you. So don't be the vigilante that jumps in and just smashes up somebody's car to get their dog out. If you notice the dog's in a hot car, call law enforcement. They'll be quick to respond. They'll come and they'll help out and get the dog out, and then that will be the safer way than getting yourself into any type of trouble and from doing that on your own, taking that upon yourself. So, but just preach to people. Just don't leave if you have to go into the grocery store, leave your dog home, go grocery shopping, and then come back and get your dog. There's no reason, take the extra few minutes and be safe. So don't leave dogs in cars. Don't leave dogs in cars. Know the signs of heat stroke. Heat stroke is when the internal body temperature goes above normal range, and the higher that body temperature goes, the more destruction of internal organs could happen, and particularly the brain starts to swell, and it's very life-threatening. So, some signs of heat stroke: excessive panting, lethargy, kind of lethargic, they're mopey, they don't really want to move, bright red gums. So if you look at the gum color in the dog's mouth or the cat's mouth, you'll notice it's a bright red color. Their gums might be dry, and then the final, really way that you can determine if your animal is potentially experiencing heat stroke is take your thermometer out of your first aid kit, take their body temperature, and if it's above 102.5 degrees or 103 degrees, normal, the end of normal range, then you have an animal that's experiencing some type of hypothermia, and you may need to get them to a veterinarian. Try to cool them down. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But take the body temperature, you push the little button, a little readout comes on, you stick it in their rectum. Kind of went over this last week. If you didn't get a chance to watch my first aid kit, my Facebook Live tutorial on first aid kits, definitely check that out. We go over a little more in detail how to do that, but make sure you have a digital thermometer or some type of thermometer for your pets. Take a rectal temperature. If it's too high, definitely try to, then we're going to try to cool the animal down and then get them to a veterinary clinic so that you don't end up having a situation where they might die from it, potentially, because it can be fatal. Or they could sustain serious brain damage and other issues related to the internal body temperature getting too high. Okay, so what are some ways? We already talked about making sure they have enough water. What are some other things that we can do? Well, when you go to cool an animal down that's overheating, that's too hot in the summertime, you have to be careful, because your instincts are to try and do it quickly. So you want to just, like submerge them in ice water. That's bad. You don't want to do that, because if you submerge them in ice water or you put anything on them that's too cold. You know, you put ice packs all over their body. You actually can send their body into, you know, a type of shock. It can be too overwhelming and it can shock their system, so you don't want to do that. So some gradual ways that you can help cool them down. If you have these little alcohol towelettes in your first aid kit, or maybe you have some, you know, in your home somehow, somewhere, you take one of these towelettes. Now again, be careful with alcohol. Try not to let the animals lick them, because it can, you know, make them sick. It can give them some digestive upset. But you can rub it on the pads of their feet. And what happens is the alcohol starts to evaporate, and then it cools down very quickly. And when that happens, it causes this really kind of strong cooling sensation, but it's not in like icicle situation where they're, you know, going to be freezing. So so that'll help. And what happens is when they cool down the pads of their feet, dogs and cats sweat through the pads of their feet. They exchange body, you know, they have body temperature regulation through their feet. And so when that happens, the cool air and the blood circulating through their feet will help regulate their body temperature and bring their body temperature down. Now that doesn't happen like quickly. It's a gradual thing, and also it's not something for like severe hypothermia, severe heat stroke. If you have an animal that's experiencing really high temperatures, this is going to take too long and it's just too subtle for you to make a difference. So this might not be the option for that. Here's your ice pack, your cold pack. These are disposable cold packs. They're fairly cheap. You can get them at Walmart or Walgreens. You crush them and shake them, and there's a chemical in here that turns cold. And you can use this, and you can put it under their arms. You can, I know that's my armpit there. You can put it under their arms, you can put it on their belly, you can put it under their ears. These are all places that have a lot of blood vessels close to the skin. So the blood pumps by, cools down once it hits the ice pack, and then as it circulates, goes through the rest of the body and cools the body down. So these things can get really cold though. So if you have one of these, you may want to wrap it in like a little towelette or a towel, face cloth, kitchen towel, something like that, and then put it on the skin, because it can get very cold. And don't let them chew this or eat this, because there are chemicals inside that could be dangerous. So that's for the ice pack. And you can use a reusable ice pack. Just you have to remember to go get it out of your fridge and bring it with you hiking, or know where to get it. But these are, you can throw one of these in your car or your purse or your hiking pack. Like that. And then good old-fashioned water. This type of water, this bottled water, is clean. This one I just took out of the fridge. It's nice and cold. Obviously it's clean. But you can use this to rinse down their body. You can rinse it over the animal. Be careful, like mine right now is pretty ice cold. I just took it out of the fridge and it's pretty chilly. I probably wouldn't dump this directly on my dog or my cat if they're experiencing heat stroke, because it could be like too much, too freezing. So I may want to cool this down a little bit, warm it up a little bit, so the temperature isn't quite as cold, and then you can just pour this on the animal's body. I do that sometimes even when we're hiking with Cootie. I'll just take an extra bottle of water, and as he's panting and we stop to take a drink, I'll pour some water on him to cool him down. I pour some water on me too. Just something to help keep their body temperature down, to prevent heat stroke or hyperthermia, which is the body temperature getting too high. So bottled water is versatile for not just drinking, it's also versatile for cooling the animal down. So we covered a lot of things today. I hope this is helpful. There's some things that just aren't common sense, and some things that, might be, hey, you know what, that's a great tip, I never thought of that. And I hope to be able to bring that information so that you can not only help your pets, but maybe help other people's pets as well. Talk to your friends or your kennel club group and have a discussion about, hey, what's the best way that we can keep our pets and our community safe. So thank you so much for tuning in this week. Share this video. Please like our page and share our videos. We want to get the message out there to help people, help their pets, keep them safe, keep them healthy. And we love you guys. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next week. Bye.